All right, Mia. Last time you were here, I got some good predictions. So maybe you're my lucky charm. Do you have anything? Do you want to give me any? Do you want to give your thoughts? Who do you think's going to win Rome? Who do you think's going to win?
I'm not letting you ruin my street credit.
All right, so we're back for another one of these predictions videos, and look, I gotta be honest.
Madrid was horrible. I don't know what happened there, but look.
It can only be better from here. We can only get a better draw from now on, and who knows, maybe this is the one. This might be the one where I get 20 out of 25, but let's have a look at who I predicted for this one. So Swiatek versus Sabalenka, or Swiatek or Sabalenka to go further. I'm going to go with Swiatek. She's been much better at this tournament over the past couple of years. Obviously winning it twice in a row. Sabalenka had a bit of an upset last year, so I'm going to go with Swiatek to do better in Rome than Sabalenka. So for the qualifiers in this one, on the men's side, I'm going to go with Montero. He actually beat Tsitsipas last week, played really, really well to get to, I think, a third round in Madrid. So I'm going to go with him. He played really well in the qualies as well so far this week. And on the women's side, I'm going to go with Towson, who's been really, really good in the qualies as well this week. Actually bageled in the qualies against a player called Danilovic, who's been really good as well lately. So I'm going to go with her to have a good run as a quali. All right, so I'm going to go with the same prediction as I made for Madrid, just because they're so good on clay and they've got so many players in the draw. I'm going to go with Team Russia in this one to do the best out of any other country. I just think with their draw and also with the players they've got, I mean, Rublev, of course, they've got a lot of female players that are really, really good on clay. I reckon they will be the most successful country at this event. So this is a tough one because aces in Rome are super rare compared to Madrid, and Madrid, being a clay court, is also very rare. I'm going to go with Sabalenka to hit the most aces on the women's side, and I'm going to go with Rublev on the men's side, hoping that they do well as well, because, you know, if they don't go far, they're not going to hit many aces. But I'm going to go with those two for the aces, but it's really hard to hit aces at this event. So something a little bit different, Ruud versus Tsitsipas. Who's going to go further in this one? I'm going to go with Ruud in this one. I think Tsitsipas's draw is a little bit tougher, especially very early on. And after what happened in Madrid, losing a little early, I think that Ruud will have a better tournament than Tsitsipas in this one. So the unseeded players in this one, I'm going to go with Nadal on the men's side. I'm going to pick Rafa. I'm going to ride the hype train. I'm going to pick him to be the best out of the unseeded players. And on the women's side, I'm going to go with Tormo. She had a pretty good week last week, despite losing to Swiatek pretty badly in the end, but really good on the clay courts and is in an interesting section of the draw. So I'm going to go with Tormo to have a great run as an unseeded player for the ladies. So top 10 upsets on the men's side, I'm going to go with Medvedev. He's coming in with a little bit of an injury, and he does have a little bit of a tricky draw to start off, especially against some real good clay quarters, and especially having an injury could be really dangerous. And on the women's side, I've got to go with Zhang. She's still not playing great, and she has played well on the clay before, so maybe she can do something on this, but I'm going to go with Zhang, who also last week had to pull out with injury. My dark horse picks on the men's side, I'm going to go Taylor Fritz. He was so good last week, making it to the semifinals when most people probably didn't think he was going to get that far. And on the women's side, I'm going to go Paolini. With the home crowd support and her draw, I reckon she's got a good chance to go far in this event as well as a dark horse. All right, so Medvedev, Zverev, who do I think is going to go further? Well, I'm going to go with Zverev. I said Medi's going to get upset, so I'm going to have to pick Zverev to have a good run, at least make it to the second half of the tournament and do better than Medvedev in this one. I'm just not confident with Medvedev's physical status, especially being injured, and I don't even know if he's going to play, so I'm going to go with Zverev. All right, my hot take for this one, and it usually happens every year, but I'm going to say it, that I reckon a lot of players are going to pull out of this tournament in the tournament, not just the ones that are already pulled out. You know, Sinner, Alcaraz are already gone. I reckon towards the end of this tournament, we're going to have a lot of walkovers and a lot of players pulling out because, of course, the French Open is coming up. Remember last year, Swiatek withdrew against Rybakina after getting injured. And, of course, that was so she could play the French Open and not, you know, risk herself getting hurt more so. So I reckon a lot of players are going to pull out to prepare for the French Open during midway through this tournament. Okay, so this is the semi-final lineup. Again, always tough, but last week I did pretty well. I'm going to go with Djokovic versus Zverev on the top half of the draw. I just think both of them are due to do well, and I reckon they're due for a big semi-final. Bottom half of the draw, I'm going to go with Rublev and Rune. For the ladies, top half of the draw, I'm going to go with Swiatek Goff. I think Goff, kind of like Djokovic and Zverev, due to have a good run. Down the bottom, I reckon I'm going to go with Sabalenka versus Paolini. I reckon Paolini takes Rybakina's spot in the draw, maybe because she's played a lot of tennis lately, and I'm a little bit wary of what she's going to do, but I reckon Paolini and Sabalenka will be the bottom half of the draw. And the champions of this one, I'm going to go with the obvious end. I know I said this every time. I'm always going with the obvious picks, but I feel like he's got to win eventually. I'm going to go with Novak Djokovic on the men's side, and on the women's side, I'm going to go with Swiatek. Not just because she won Madrid, but because in Rome, she plays so well here. It's one of her best events on the WTA outside of the slams. Of course, French Open is probably number one. So Djokovic, Swiatek, they're my picks. Let me know down in the comments below. What are your picks for Rome? I feel like it's a little bit harder to do, mainly because the players that have been playing well, are they going to be tired? The players that haven't been playing well, are they going to be able to step up? Someone like a Djokovic, of course. And the players that, we're probably going to pick at this stage are injured and they're not even here. So it's going to be interesting to see what these predictions are like. But I'm pretty confident this week that I'm going to do better than I did in Madrid because I can't get much worse. God, it was so bad. It was so bad.